want to share a brief thought on this week's parasha Chayei. Begins with Avraham suffering a great tragedy, the loss of his wife, his soulmate, his love of so many years. It's also a great loss to the Jewish people. She was a matriarch. She was a role model, and to replace her is nearly impossible. But Avraham realizes that he's lost so much after the Akedat Yitzchak, when he was meant to sacrifice his son, but he did not. He also ended up losing the relationship with his son. So Avraham here looks around and realizes, for all the promises given to him, he has nothing. He doesn't have a relationship with his son. He doesn't have countless grandchildren. He doesn't have great swaths of land. And now he's nearing perhaps the end of his life. He's 137 years old, and he realizes he now has to think about what he's going to leave behind. So this parsha takes a great deal of time focusing on him buying a proper burial plot, a piece of land in Canaan that would become Israel. But he also spends a great deal of time in choosing a proper wife for his son Yitzchak to make sure that the legacy of the people who worship the one true God is continued on. So what he does is he sends his servant, who's not named, but we usually identify as Eliezer. And he said, go to the land where I am from, where Sarah is from. Find someone from her family. Do not choose someone from the land of Canaan. But the Torah doesn't make it clear why he can't choose someone from the land of Canaan. Perhaps it's tribal, it's pagan, or maybe there's something else. Well, the Torah doesn't give us an answer. One that really struck me was from a 15th century Italian rabbi, Rabbi Ovadia Saforno. And he comments on a line in our parsha, the very first pasuk verse of the 24th chapter. Ve'avraham zaken ba bayamim. And Avraham, he was becoming quite old. And again, he was realizing he didn't have many years left, so now was the time to really make sure his legacy and protecting his people and his covenant with God, he had to do it now. Continues, Ve'Hashem merachet Avraham bakol. And Hashem blessed Avraham with everything, bakol. And Sforno comments on this, and what he suggests is that Avraham's concern wasn't that there couldn't be a good spouse, a good husband, or a good wife for his son from the land of Canaan, but everyone knew him there, and they knew about that kol, the all. They knew that Abraham was mighty. He had defeated armies. They knew he was rich. He was powerful. He had, as far as they were concerned, not the God, but a God who was very mighty. So anyone would want to marry into that family, not because they would love Yitzchak, but because they just wanted to be associated with the family. And Avraham knew he wanted someone for his son who loved him for him, someone who could be not a replacement, but someone who could serve in the same way as Sarah had to marry Yitzchak when he was just who he was. Because when Avraham met Sarai, he literally gave up everything. He gave up his home, his family. He didn't have wealth. He didn't have everything. So why did Sarah go with him? Because she loved him and she believed in him. So Sforno says that the concern here of Abraham was mipnei ashro da'ag, that because of his great wealth, he was worried, shema, lest as adam bilti agun, some person who wasn't proper, who wasn't fitting, yirbe shochad le'avdo, they would perhaps bribe the servant Eliezer to say, why don't you bring my daughter to him? But Avram didn't want that. He wanted somebody who wanted to be with Yitzchak as he believed in their mission. He believed in what they stood for. He believed in the covenant, believed in Hashem. Someone who was a genuinely good person who wanted to marry Yitzchak because they wanted to marry Yitzchak, not because they wanted to be rich. And that's a question that we often have to ask ourselves, both in our friendships and all our relationships, is when people get close to us, is it because they believe in us and they want to join with us and accomplish something great because they care about us, or are they trying to get something? And not every relationship can be the ideal. Sometimes in business, it is, a give and take. You want to work with people because they want to get rich, you want to get rich, and sometimes that's appropriate. But in the deep, meaningful relationships, you want to surround yourselves with people who love you for you, who believe in you because of what you do and who you are. And if you can surround yourself with people like that, then it becomes much easier to spread your mission, to spread your values, and to leave a legacy that will last for generations. With that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and be well.